Alright, welcome back to Dad Bod Bushcraft. Today we're going to be going over a little bit about water purification and extending the life of your water filters. Dads tend to be rather cheap, or actually I think the term's frugal. Yeah, I'll go with frugal. That sounded better. And therefore knowing how to get more life out of your filters is really important. But we're going to start off with this. Got 2 bottles of water here. I don't know if you can see them. But if you were given a choice of which one to drink, which one would you choose? Left one? Right one? Well, I'll tell you what. Just so you know, this is just a bottle of water with an Oreo cookie broke up in it. This one, I scooped directly out of my toilet. The reason I do this is to show you that you cannot tell if water is safe to drink by looking at it, unless you know for a fact it's like snow melt or coming from a natural spring. Something you definitely know is clean water. If you don't know, you need to filter it. Number one way to been done forever is boiling it. If you boil water, it'll kill all the natural bad things in it, the Giardia, the crystal sporidium, bacteria. It'll make the water safe to drink. It will do nothing to get rid of the grit, the taste, the slime. So actually filtering is a little bit better. If you filter it, it'll clean the water, make it look nice like this. But if you use a filter with fine enough pores, it will make it purified, which means it gets rid of like 99.9% of all that other stuff that's in there. That's why most backpackers use something like this. This is a water filtering pump. You tend to just drop it down in the water, and then you can just pump it, which I've got the cap on here, and it pumps water. Well, guess what? This thing's about 120 bucks. These aren't cheap, and I forget how many gallons of water you can get from the, I think you get about 200 gallons out of the filter, just the way it is. But I can guarantee you, if you don't get clean water first before using this, you ain't going to get 200 gallons of water out of it. There's a couple different ways to do that. One is always pick water that looks clean at the very least. The cleaner the water looks, if it's not full of sediment and green and murky, it won't be so hard on your filter. One of my absolute favorite things I used to do when I was backpacking was I always kept one of these with me. This one's a Sea to Summit 10-liter collapsible bucket. It's real lightweight, doesn't take up much room, but it actually holds a lot of water. So what I would do when I got to my campsite, before I even set up camp, I would walk to the nearest water source, which is usually a river or a creek nearby. And I got a little string on here, so it made it easy. And I would take that over to the water source and drop it in and fill my bucket up. Then I would take this back to camp and set it down, and then make camp. What happens is, while you're sitting there making camp, over about the next half hour to an hour, all the sediment will start to settle, which you can see a little bit already happening in this bottle. Most of the heavy stuff settling down. If I let this sit for an hour, this will be pretty clear up top. Then all I would do is set my float real close and drop it in there, so I'm actually drawing the water from the top of that, so it's staying out of all that sediment. You wouldn't want to drop this in a creek bed and have it laying down in the mud in the bottom. Your filter wouldn't last very long at all. And that's just one way. If you're using, well, as you can tell right now too, I actually have a coffee filter over the pre-filter on this, and that actually takes away a lot of the heavier sediment and the algae and stuff. It's not perfect, and a coffee filter, once it gets wet, is not very strong, but it'll work for a little while you do that. That's why I always carry a bunch of them with me, because I can also make coffee with them, which is, by the way, the other reason that you want to know how to filter water in that, because water is super important, because that's how you make coffee. If you don't have water, you can't make coffee. And you've got different filters like this. This is a Life Straw. It says it'll filter like 100,000 gallons of water, but I've used these before, and if you're not careful with the water source you're getting the water out of, it will not take long to plug these up. But these you just stick down in the water and drink from. So it's a good idea to have a bucket or something. Then you can put this in there and drink directly from it, or your container, let it sit for a while. One thing you can do, obviously, take a coffee filter, and I always like to fold them off in fours. So I basically got 4 layers of them. Can't really go much farther than that and still have them fit, but you take those and you put it over the end of your filter, and just take a plain old rubber band and put over it. Now this will make it a little bit harder to suck through, but it will clean the water a lot better before it gets into the filter, and it won't plug near as fast. And once this gets wet, it does a lot better job. It won't be so hard to suck through. Really popular in survival kits are these little miniature filters. They're on the same line as these. They do the same thing, just nowhere near as much, and most of them will say they'll filter like 25 gallons. If you're not careful where you get your water from, I guarantee you're not even going to get a gallon out of this, and it's very hard to suck through. Same thing. Another additive you can do, you can take a cotton ball and put over the end of it before putting your coffee filter on, and that'll do an even better job of filtering it, and it does make it a lot harder to suck through. So, but like these are for emergency uses, so maybe that gallon of water is all you're actually going to need. The other thing you can do is take a piece of cotton cloth, or if you have a handkerchief, which all scouts are supposed to carry a handkerchief with them when they're out of doors. But this is just a little piece of t-shirt material. Same thing. Fold it in half, put it over the filter, put your rubber band on. You just increase the life of this filter. Now, these are really popular. I've been using one for quite a while now. The Sawyer Squeeze, and this has an inline filter. You fill your bag up, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it does work. And then you screw your filter directly to it. Now that makes it very hard to do something. You can't really add a filter to it to make it work better. So that's why when using something like this, it is very important. It's a very good idea to have the cleanest water you can get before you start using this. You can purchase pre-filters for these pumps like this that have like their own little filters in them that you can change out when they get clogged up, and they do increase the life of these, because if you take this apart, this is your main filter. These can cost anywhere from $30 to $70. So you want to get as much life out of those as you can. My original one of these that I had, I don't know how many gallons. I used it for almost 10 years. Just because I was cleaning my water using pre-filters on it. It lasted me about 10 years. I didn't use it every week. I use it mostly during the season, a lot of backpacking trips and things. But I've clogged up a filter prior to it, and that's why I started doing this. The filter I clogged up prior to it was on the very first backpacking trip that I took it on. And I had to keep back flushing it, so that is a good tip to know. But can't really think of anything else to tell you. There's also your little aqua tabs. You can also buy the little iodine. You can get them at Walmart. They're aqua clear or something. I forget what they are, but it's got iodine tablets and some kind of citrus thingy you can add to the water. If you've ever used those, you won't use them much anymore. They're good for survival kits, stuff like that, when it's an emergency and you have to have water, but that water with the iodine in it does not taste good. I prefer these. They're aqua tabs. They're more of a chlorine based. Put a couple of these in your bottle of water and let it sit for, I want to say it's half an hour. You got to follow the directions on it, and that'll purify your water too. same as boiling, but it still won't do anything to take out any of the sediment and bad taste. And it can kind of taste a little bit like swimming pool. Which also reminds me, you can use liquid bleach. I forget if it's 2 drops, 4 drops, or 6 drops per liter of water. And the bleach has to be fresh. Once you open that bleach at home, once it's been uncapped, its effectiveness for purifying water is only something like 6 months. But as usual, don't ever go by what someone's telling you on the internet, watching a YouTube video. Always do your own research, because even I have been known to be wrong about things. You can just ask my wife. No, hun, I don't care what the GPS says. I'm turning right here. My battery died in the camera. I had to swap it out. I think I've already covered pretty much everything that I need to cover. So I just wanted to tell you, everybody, to make sure you stay hydrated. And like, this is Georgia, and it's kind of warm today, so I just wanted to make sure that stay hydrated. Oh, that's terrible. What is that, Dasani? Oops. I think next week I might do a gear review. I don't know, or maybe work on some fire. But today's Dad Bod Bushcraft tip is, don't forget your toilet paper. Leaves do not work nowhere near as well as you think from reading the survival books, and pine cones just suck. So take that to the bank. All right, thanks for watching.